Hello everyone, my name is Ivo and welcome to Cooking with the Koyas. Today folks, we're going to make another Italian specialty item called Panuozzo. And it was basically developed in Italy, just outside of Naples, back in the early 80s. And what it is folks, it's like an Italian bun slash sandwich. It's unbelievable. You can make it in the same day. We're going to make it today from scratch. Let's get started right now. So I have here two different flours. We're going to start off with 100 grams. And by the way, for the conversion from metric to imperial, I'll put all the conversions in the description below for you if you're not familiar with grams. But that's 100 grams of 00 flour, and you're going to want a flour that's at least 12.5% or higher in protein. Then I have here 230 grams of Manitoba flour, which is very high in protein, typically 14% or more. If you can't find Manitoba flour, just use a bread flour that's high in protein. Okay, so we have 100 of 00, 230 grams of Manitoba, and we're going to add, actually, let's continue with the dry ingredients. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of Diastatic malt powder. This is not essential, but highly preferred because it's a superfood for yeast. So 1 teaspoon, if you're measuring, is about 3 grams. And then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of instant yeast. And if you're measuring, that's also about 4 grams. And we're going to continue, and we're going to add 1 teaspoon of just regular table salt, which is about 5 grams. Okay, let's mix those together. Let's give them a quick mix before we add our water. Okay, so let's add our water now. And the water I have here is warm water. It's about 80 to 90 degrees, and it's 170 grams. Yes, I weigh the water, 170 grams of water. And to that, we are also going to add 1 teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil. Okay, let's get that added in. Okay, let's mix our dough. So I like to use a spatula to get it started, and I pour the water in the middle of the flour, and then I sort of just work the dough and the water, or not the dough, the flour and the water together, and just get it all incorporated, because we're going to knead this for a few minutes. So let's get it a rough shaggy dough kind of started. Okay, most of it's been picked up, so now we got to work it all in. So time to go to the countertop, scrape all that flour out. Okay. Alrighty, time to make our dough. Let's get all that flour picked up, squeeze it all together, get it all incorporated. Feels a little warm because of that warm water, which is beautiful. You don't want your water too hot because then it'll kill the yeast. That's why you want it just warm enough to get the yeast activated and moving quicker than if it was cold water. So again, just kind of keep working it, squeezing it together, picking up all that flour. So just keep working it. Like I say, I've got most of it picked up now. And you can see here we just have a very rough dough. So what we have to do is knead this dough by just using the palm of your hands and just pushing down and pushing forward. And you can do that with any little leftover bits because it'll pick those up as well. And it'll go from a very rough dough to a nice smoother dough. So we're going to knead this for 3 to 5 minutes. And there we go. I've gone about the full 5 minutes. And the reason you want to knead for 3 to 5 minutes is because you want to get that gluten network going. You want all those ingredients incorporated, and you're going to end up with a nice, soft, beautiful dough. So, quite simply, we want to let it rest in a covered container for 6 hours. So I'm just going to cover that, and we will let that rest patiently, and we'll come back in about 6 hours. Our 6 hours are up. Let's take a look at our beautiful dough. And looky there, it has risen up very, very nicely. So we're almost at the finish line, folks. Almost at the finish line. But look at that beautiful, beautiful dough that we made. Okay, so let's take it out of the container. Okay, there we go. Beautiful, beautiful dough. Okay, so what we have to do now is divide this in half, and it's going to be about 256 grams per side. So let's see what we have here. We have 243. Let's add a little more. 255. Let's see what this one is. 252. Okay, so there we go. We're about 254 grams each. So now what we want to do is shape it into a rectangle, and by shaping, we're going to do a fourfold. We're going to lift one side, fold it over, lift the other side, fold it over, lift one end, fold it over, lift the other end, and fold it over. So there we go. We have like a nice rectangular piece. And I have here a cutting board with some semolina flour on it, and I'm just going to place that right on there. Okay, and now let's do our second one. Again, it's very easy. Get into a rectangular kind of shape, and then just lift the side, fold it over, lift the other side, fold it over, lift one end, fold it, and same with the other end. Lift and fold. That's it. And then you can turn it over so the folds are on the bottom. We have a nice rectangular shape. And now what we're going to do, we're going to just let that sit and rest for an hour. But at the half-hour mark, folks, we are going to turn on the oven and get it preheated to 475 degrees. So this is going to rest for 1 hour, and we'll be right back at you. We are now approaching the 1 hour mark, and my oven has been preheating, and look at our beautiful dough has been resting nicely. And now it's time to shape these, folks. What we want to do, we want to keep that rectangular shape. And we're going to use, I'm using the germ wheat semolina, like I used already. And you want to basically cover them in the germ wheat semolina. Okay, and now let's do one at a time here. You're going to take that, and basically what you want to end up with is about 4 inches wide by about 12 inches long. So a rectangular, get it covered in the, cover it all up in the semolina, and just start to push down and shape it into that rectangular roughly 4 by 12, 4 by 10 in that area. Again, covered in that semolina. That's pretty good there. That's about 4 by 10. Stretch it out a bit. That looks pretty good, folks, right there. Okay, so that one's looking good. Hey, just like that. And I'm going to just put it on this pizza peel. Rest it there, and now let's do our second one. And I can show you a comparison there, as you can see, right? You can see the difference between the two. Okay, same thing, covered in the semolina, and start to shape it. Just push down and out a bit, flip it over, continue to push it. There we go. You just want that nice rectangular shape. That is looking pretty good right there. I like it. Okay, there we go. Isn't that nice? Beautiful. In fact, I like it better than the first one. So I'm just going to reshape the first one. I know I'm being fussy, right, folks? But the second one looked so much better. All right. Well, that's gonna have to do. Okay, there we go. There we go. There's our two right there. Let's make our way over to the oven and let's start baking. Yeah, they shake up nicely, beautiful. Alrighty, as I said, our oven's been preheating at 475. Turn the light on so I can see what I'm doing. I have a pizza stone in here. You could use a stone. You could use a pizza steel. You could use a sheet pan. Anything at all. Let's get it in there and start the timer going for 12 minutes. Time to turn the oven off and let's take a peek. Oh yes. I let them go just over 12 minutes, closer to 13. Every oven is different, folks, but basically 12 to 13 minutes is usually good. Look at that, it's got a nice color. Let's take a look at the bottom side. Okay, nice touch of golden brown on the bottom. Oh, that is super nice, folks. Okay, these are piping hot. Look how beautiful they are. Oh, I can't wait to get in. So we gotta let these rest at least 15 minutes. So I will give them 15 minutes and then we're gonna cut in. I'll show you the inside because it's interesting. And we're gonna make ourselves a beautiful sandwich. Okay, 15-minute rest. My favorite part. And before I cut into these, to this bread here, folks, these paninis, let's just take a closer look. I want you to see the bottom, and that's the color you're looking for. You want that nice golden brown color. So like I say, everyone's oven is different. Typically 12 to 13 minutes will do it, but you judge by looking at the color. Once it's got that golden color, you're good to go. And I think I'm gonna cut this bigger one first. So we're gonna cut this right up the middle. Nice and easy, hand on top. And right through, if I can. Yeah. Look at that. And I'm going to come up a little closer again because I want you to see how it typically forms a pocket on the one side. And I'll show you what I mean. Like a hollow pocket on this one right here. You can see that hollow pocket. But look at the nice crumb that we have. Beautiful, beautiful. The flour that we use, folks, makes this absolutely perfect. Okay, so now you could do whatever you want here. You could make yourself a nice steak sandwich. You could make pulled pork. You could have a chicken on a bun. You could have vegetables. Put some veggies on there, or roasted eggplant and zucchini. Whatever you want to do, folks. Sausage. I love to put sausage in here and make a nice sausage sandwich. But today I'm going to go with tradition. We're going to make a cold cut Panuozzo. So I like to drizzle a little bit of extra virgin olive oil on my buns. I have here some prosciutto cotto from Italy, which stands for cooked ham, but it's different than the domestic cooked ham. It's got a different color to it. There are no additives. It's more natural. So if you can get the prosciutto cotto from Italy, that's the one to take. Look at that. It's beautiful, beautiful cold cut. Let's add some calabrese soppressata. I'm going to layer this up nicely. And that's got a little heat to it, so that's going to be really, really nice. I don't need to add any hot peppers. But speaking of peppers, I do have a little bit of roasted peppers left over from yesterday's dinner. And these are roasted peppers that I've roasted myself. If you want to see the video on how that's done, I do have a video on it. I'll put a link in the description for you. These are amazing in a sandwich. as well as pizza. Okay, so I have my roasted pepper. Now I've got here sharp provolone cheese. I prefer the sharp over the mild. It has a much, much, much better and stronger taste, and I love that taste. Absolutely love that taste. Okay, I got a nice layer. Let's put a little extra on there. There we go. Isn't that nice? Okay, and I also have here some oven-baked capicola. So again, from Italy, and the oven-baked is A, healthier, and B, tastier. So we're putting top of the line ingredients in here. Okay, a tad bit of olive oil on this side. Oh, you know what? That deserves a quick photo. Yes, I love my photos. Okay. Oh boy. Oh my goodness, folks. Let's cut it right in half. And I lost a little piece of my soppressata. Oh, that's definitely, I have to show you this up close because that, folks, looks absolutely amazing. Okay, time to dig in. Yes, folks, it's the simple things in life. Oh my goodness. Little pleasures. Oh my goodness, folks. Now that's a sandwich. The bun has a real nice chew to it. It's soft in nature. The flour we used, and the combination of flavors on the sandwich, oh boy, does that ever complement this bread very, very nicely. Panuozzo, the guy who developed it back in the early 80s, just outside of Napoli, with some leftover pizza dough. What a creation he made. Folks, you have to give it a try. You can make it yourself. It's very easy. It's done in the same day, and you can enjoy your favorite sandwich on the bread that you've made yourself same day. Wherever you're tuning in from, folks, I really, really hope you give this Italian tradition a try. And until next time, buon appetito. I also make my own wine, and I did a video on that too. If you're interested, I'll put a link in the description for you as well. But right now, it's all about the Panuozzo. Wow.